Clark sends a clear message to one Stephanie White. Stephanie, it's about time you decided to stick up for your players. I was getting tired of getting scratched, clawed, and grabbed all game long, every game. It's about time you decided to say something to the referees. Stephanie White, a few minutes prior to that, ignoring Caitlin Clark's double-double, ignoring the engine that makes this thing go. AB doesn't drop 30 without CC 22. CC drops 30 because she's CC.
Caitlin Clark is done with the Indiana fever. That's the bombshell nobody is saying out loud. But trust me, the decision has already been made. Not in a dramatic press conference, not in some viral social media post designed for maximum impact, and certainly not through a leaked whisper from someone inside the building who couldn't keep their mouth shut. Instead, this is a quiet, deeply personal, and absolutely firm choice, handled with the same measured professionalism that has defined her entire career, even as the world around her has been screaming for drama. She's not frustrated. She's not negotiating. She's not waiting to see if things magically change. She is simply unequivocally done.
Hit a game winner to save you. Couldn't talk about it. The girl had a 32-point double-double alongside Aaliyah Boston, the first time that's ever happened for teammates in WNBA history. You didn't mention her. She just had 25 and 5, and she should have had 25 and 15 assists, but Aaliyah Boston couldn't make a layup. Lexi Hall's missing layups, Monique Billings missing layups, Kelsey Mitchell missing everything. And all you say is, hey, good job on the ATO. Good job, C.
Backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in.
Point. Caitlin Clark needs to do what's in the best interest for Caitlin Clark. Too much has happened in her 3 years as an Indiana Fever. Too much has happened since her rookie year. Nobody's acknowledging what Caitlin Clark has done for the league. Everybody's dismissing her. Every single time, somebody gets asked a question like, who would you rather start a franchise with? You get dumbass coaches answering bullshit-ass answers like Paige Becker's. Hype is always about how, Caitlin Clark's okay, but she's not that great because anybody off the street that can dribble a basketball can basically do whatever Caitlin Clark is doing. Caitlin Clark is literally out here destroying and annihilating records in a fifth of the time. And every single time, this league wants to dismiss and denigrate everything she's doing. And Stephanie White is a part of that. It's time for Caitlin Clark to get the fuck up out of it.
And the moment you truly grasp that, the moment this reality lands not as mere speculation, but as a cold, hard fact, suddenly everything that has happened this season makes a chilling kind of sense. Every single sideline exchange that inexplicably went viral, every single post-game press conference where the wrong name somehow stole the headline, every critical possession where the play was clearly drawn up for her, only for the ball to end up somewhere else entirely. It's all connected. It all adds up to a pattern of systemic disrespect. This organization, the one that hit the lottery by drafting perhaps the most important player in the history of women's basketball, consistently treated her like nothing more than a product to be managed, a marketing tool, instead of the generational talent she is, a player to be built around, to be unleashed. And after a certain point, an accumulation of these slights, this constant belittling, stops being an unfortunate pattern you can explain away and starts becoming an undeniable, irrefutable reason to walk. Caitlin Clark reached that point, and Indiana only has itself to blame.
Of the 11 largest WNBA audiences in the past 25 years have involved Caitlin Clark. One more time. Rewind. Each of the 11 largest WNBA audiences in the past 25 years have all involved Caitlin Clark in some way, shape, or form. 9 Fever games, the draft, and the All-Star game. Look at these numbers. Look at this. 3.4, 2.7, 2.5, 2.5, 2.4, 2.4, 2.3. She is
backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in.
So when my neighbor comes up to me and tells me that he's so frustrated he's yelling at the TV because he wants Caitlin to shoot more, and you see social media, of course you do, and we all do, and we see frustration if Caitlin doesn't have the ball or if something goes wrong or if the team doesn't play well in the fourth quarter, all those things that happen in sports. What's your answer to those fans? I don't know that I really have an answer for the fans. I think, I have to answer to our team, and our franchise. And we're trying to win ball games. We're not trying to appease the masses.
Because here's the thing, the fundamental truth this franchise never fully grasped. And it's genuinely stunning how deaf they were to the deafening roar of evidence for 2 straight years. Caitlin Clark never actually needed the Indiana Fever. Not one bit. The Indiana Fever, on the other hand, desperately needed her. Before she arrived, this franchise wasn't just struggling, it was utterly invisible. We're talking about small, sparse crowds, forgettable broadcasts buried deep on cable, a team that existed solely on the periphery of a league that was itself fighting tooth and nail to carve out a foothold in the national sports conversation. They were a footnote at best. And then, like a lightning bolt, Clark walked in and changed absolutely everything. All of it instantly, irrevocably.
Good job of finding a way. Okay, really good job of finding a way. We started to expand that fist and then we came back together. All right, that was really good stuff. Now, we know we got a lot of stuff that we got to work on, right? We know that. But being able to come away and withstand what we withstood in that run and to be able to pull together, get some key stops, shot C. Hell yeah. Great pass, it wasn't pretty, okay? It wasn't pretty. We still got room for growth, a lot of room for growth, but great job getting a W on the road.
Backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in.
2.5 million viewers for Saturday's primetime showdown between the Fever and the Liberty, the most watched WNBA game of the season. It peaked with more than 3 million viewers. This is a massive number, folks. 2.5 with the new ratings, with the old ratings, a huge number. This is better than the season opener between the Indiana Fever and the Dallas Wings. And this is better than about a week prior between the Dallas Wings and the New York Liberty. 1.3 million, making it the second most watched of the season. And then here comes Caitlin Clark against that same New York Liberty team, giving you an extra 1.2 million views.
Think about this. All 11 of the largest WNBA audiences in the league's 25-year history involve her name. Every single one. She single-handedly transformed a regional overlooked franchise into a primetime, must-see CBS event. She took a regular season Saturday afternoon game and turned it into an event that drew 3 million people, glued to their televisions like it was the NBA Finals. She accomplished all of that while playing in a system that was never, ever designed for her unique, explosive talents. She did it under a coach who publicly admitted she does not build around Clark's strengths, surrounded by a front office that exercised her contract option, and yet, somehow, still never truly made her feel like the most important person in the building. That isn't bad luck or some unfortunate coincidence. That, my friends, is a deliberate choice. And it is a choice that is now costing them everything they gain.
In Kelsey, who had already been here, and she had a quiet 19, right? It can make for some really special things, and we've got growth opportunities. There's no doubt about it. But I'm proud of this group, and those two certainly put us on their shoulders tonight. And I thought Mai was great. I thought Mai came in and was outstanding as well.
Backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in.
More about Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham and Monique Billings. Wait a minute. Listen to it one more time.
We have 5 in double figures. That's huge. That's huge. 25 points off of turnovers. Coming out of the timeout and the ATOC. Great job. Great job. Look, we know that we've still got room for improvement.
That's it?
Every day, we are taking steps forward. And that is the most important thing. Every day, we're getting better. Okay? I'm proud of y'all. Good job.
For what, bro? That's it? That's all you had to say about Caitlin Clark? You talk more about Monique Billings, Sophie Cunningham, and everybody else. Bro, this is nuts.
But wait, it gets worse. The disrespect was never about one single isolated moment. That's the critical part people keep getting wrong when they try to reduce this entire saga to a single incident, or one particularly frustrating press conference, or a solitary play call gone awry in overtime. No, the disrespect was the asterisk environment asterisk. It was the pervasive, ingrained culture inside that organization. It was the daily, ongoing, built-into-the-system reality that Caitlin Clark was, without question, the franchise's most valuable asset, the engine driving their entire existence, and yet absolutely nobody in a position of authority ever acted like it. Coach Stephanie White, sitting directly in front of cameras, unapologetically told the entire world that she runs her asterisk system, not Clark's. That meant the half-court grind, the methodical, slow-paced possessions, the deliberate tempo that takes everything Clark does best. The push pace, the full-speed reads, the pull-up threes from logo distance that make casual fans stop scrolling and lean into their screens, and sands it down into something utterly average, something entirely unremarkable. And she said it plainly, with no apology, no asterisk, no caveats. Asterisk her asterisk system, not Clark's. And she fully intended to keep running it that exact same way, no matter the cost.
The energy is low, so you have to go out there and kind of be the aggressor and bring the energy up. But when they already have it, you just gotta, slide right in and don't let the game fall out or fall.
You've been balling lately. And your attitude has been a lot better. I love that for you. I love over the past 3 games. You hit a game winner. Now your celebration was a little, we gotta work on that celebration. But then the game after that, you turn around and drop 32 points. 10 rebounds, 10 assists, 7 rebounds. Almost had a triple dub. Then you bounce back today. When I bounced back, you came back today with a 25 piece. That's what I'm talking.
Backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in.
Staying with the Indiana Fever makes sense. It's also something where I think if this were an NBA franchise, this was an NBA organization, people would be fired by now. This is the face of the league. Your franchise player, your star player who's never had injuries, people would be fired by now. People would be fired expeditiously.
She ain't lying. We just seen it happen in Dallas with Jason Kidd. They are not about to waste Cooper Flagg's time. They not about to waste not even one season of his career, because every year, every game is very important. And in the WNBA, basketball comes last. That's what it really seems like.
And the insidious thing about a culture of disrespect is how it permeates everything. It shows up in every corner, not just in the big, quotable, headline-grabbing moments, but especially in the small ones, the ones that never make the highlight reel, the ones the public rarely sees. It's in the subtle way a player is spoken about in a post-game press conference versus the candid, often telling, way she's discussed behind closed locker room doors. It's in how credit is distributed or conspicuously withheld after a historic win. It's in the way trust is extended or pointedly denied when the game is on the line and a critical decision has to be made about whose hands the ball ultimately ends up in. For 2 full years, the pattern inside the Indiana Fever organization has been agonizingly, depressingly consistent. Clark does something extraordinary, something nobody else in the league can, and then the narrative, the spotlight, the credit, somehow gets redirected somewhere else, to someone else.
He did not mention Caitlin Clark at all. So you mentioned Aaliyah Boston, career high, congratulations, good job. She was great last night, 34 points and 12 rebounds. However, Caitlin Clark also tied Tamika Catchings, the best player in Fever history. She just tied her for the most 30 and 10 games. And you don't want to give her any props. You don't want to acknowledge her. You don't want to. Actually, she has the most in WNBA history, the most 2010 games. I mean, she continuously adding history. And Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark are the first players in WNBA history to have a double-double. Both of them had double-doubles, so they're the first players to do it and have 30 points. So why not acknowledge Caitlin Clark?
Backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in.
Clark fans, prepare yourself. You better go find you a new team next season because she's getting traded. This media blitz has been insane. For the past 2 to 3 weeks, they found every single way from the media to attack her as a person and as a basketball player. And to be honest, a lot of these media folks are connected to the Fever front office and to Stephanie White. So what do you think is actually happening? Have you seen the Fever come out, to defend their star player? Maybe it's because they don't believe she's a star player. Maybe they think she's a gimmick. Maybe she thinks she's just here to drive ticket sales and merchandise sales. And the true star player is the person that they gave the Supermax to. I like to call her a zero gravity. So prepare yourself. This summer, or not this summer, but this offseason, it's going to get nasty. And she's most likely getting traded. And it's going to be what...
Now listen to this part, because this is where the story stops being merely emotional and starts becoming coldly, mathematically devastating for Indiana. We're talking about numbers that don't lie. 2.56 million people watched the Indiana Fever take on the New York Liberty on a regular season Saturday afternoon on CBS. At its peak, over 3 million viewers were absolutely locked in, hanging on every possession. That is not just a ratings win. That is a bona fide cultural event. That is the kind of audience that NFL producers spend years, sometimes decades, trying desperately to manufacture. And it happened here organically, naturally, simply because Caitlin Clark was on the court. Compare that to the same franchise, playing on the same network just a year prior, garnering nearly half that audience. The only meaningful variable that changed was the opponent and the platform, and even accounting for both of those factors, the viewership still nearly doubled. The market has been running this experiment for 2 straight years, and it keeps returning the exact same undeniable result every single time. More Clark equals exponentially more viewers. Every single time. Backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in. Here's the kicker, and this is where the sheer, mind-boggling audacity of the Fever's approach truly crystallizes. On the night of June 11th, after Caitlin Clark put up a jaw-dropping 32 points and 10 assists, tying a franchise record for 30-point double-doubles, after she and Aaliyah Boston made WNBA history as the first 2 teammates to both post 30-point double-doubles in the asterisk same game, Coach Stephanie White walked into the post-game press conference. And who did she lead with? Kelsey Mitchell. 19 points volume shooting, a performance that on any other night on any other team would be considered a solid contribution from a secondary scorer. But here, it was presented as the story of the game. Clark tied a franchise legend. Clark made history. Clark dragged this team through an overtime game in a system that has never once been designed to let her operate at full explosive capacity. And White opened with Mitchell. That was not an accident. That was a coaching philosophy, a deeply ingrained organizational mindset, revealing itself in stark, undeniable real time. And you can bet your bottom dollar, Caitlin Clark heard every single word of it. Backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in. Hold up, did you catch what just happened? Which brings us to overtime, because this is where the quiet, simmering frustration moved from the background to the absolute foreground. From something Clark could absorb silently, professionally, to something the entire building, and indeed the entire viewing public, could viscerally feel. Late in overtime, with the game hanging precariously in the balance, the designed action, the call from the sideline, was for Clark. That was the supposed trust, the reward that 2 years of clutch performances and impeccable late-game decision-making had supposedly earned her inside that organization. The play was drawn up for the best player in the building, the one who had spent 40-something minutes making history on that very court. But then, in a moment of baffling, deliberate choice, the ball was bypassed. It went to someone else. And when it didn't work, when the play failed, Clark had to stand there on that court and process it all. Process the missed opportunity, process the decision to sideline her, process what that tells her about how much this organization actually trusts her when absolutely everything is on the line. Backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in. And here's the part of this story that makes it genuinely, heartbreakingly difficult to watch. Because Caitlin Clark has never once said any of this publicly. Not one single word of complaint, not a hint of frustration. She is measured. She is professional. She talks about the team, about the process, about wanting to win, and she does it with the kind of unwavering composure that would make most veterans twice her age look impulsive by comparison. She never has, and frankly, she never will. But you don't need words when you have the film. You don't need a quote, a dramatic soundbite, when you have 2 years of undeniable visual evidence that speaks volumes, louder than any press conference ever could. A generational competitor being asked to play at half the speed she was built for, in a system that was never designed around her strengths, under a coach who openly admitted as much to the entire world without even blinking. And despite all of that, she is still breaking records, still making history, still showing up every single night and giving this franchise more than it has ever given her back in return. That kind of professionalism is beyond admirable. It is also, crucially, a blaring neon warning sign. Because when a competitor this disciplined, this focused, goes quiet and stops reacting, it usually means she has stopped trying to fix the situation. And she has started planning her exit. Backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, backslash in. And let me tell you, the exit is very real. Her rookie contract runs through the 2027 season, after Indiana somewhat predictably exercised her fourth-year option. So yes, she is technically under contract for now. But a contract, especially one that came with such a low initial salary for a player of her magnitude, is not the same as a commitment. and an exercised option, a purely business decision, is certainly not the same as loyalty. The moment this deal officially expires, Caitlin Clark will enter restricted free agency in a league that is rapidly expanding, in a media landscape that is desperate for her star power. Every single team, every single front office, every single owner, every single one of them who has watched every post-game quote, every dubious play call, every press conference that led with the wrong name, they've been filing it all away.